Thanks for still being here. We appreciate it. So you got a chance to see our demo earlier today. So before we talk about what we're going to do in the future, okay, let's see. Am I going to do up or down? Okay. All right. So before we talk about where we're going with this project, I kind of want to set the stage first for why we're here. And to do that, I'm going to ask everybody in this audience, because I think this is actually really relevant, right, to this particular audience, is how many people in this audience watched the Olympics this year? Everybody watched the Olympics. And who didn't? Someone didn't. Okay, all right. But like I would say, what night? Yeah. And I think what's interesting about the Olympics, right, is that there were 7,000 hours of content that were broadcast for the Olympics, and I am a little bit nervous about saying these stats with Mario in the audience, but I'll do it anyway. And there were 329 medaled events. So none of us can watch that amount of content. So part of the reason that we're talking about this project around personalization of content and clips is because we are just saturated right now with the amount of content that's coming at us. Personally, I ended up watching Brittany Page, who was fantastic, UK gold medalist, right? Who did some really cool stuff with trampoline gymnastics, which I had never heard of before, until I found out she also got a PhD in acoustic dinosaur signaling, which was like crazy and amazing. All of this to say is that there is so much content out there, we can't watch all of it, but I had a hard time finding that content around Brittany, around trampoline gymnastics that I wanted to watch, that I wanted to show my daughter, and it was like there were still highlights that were available, but it wasn't completely personalized to me, right? That content was not completely personalized to me. John and I are from the US, sorry, we're here, and we just happened to have the Super Bowl this past weekend, but leading up to that was 800 hours of content, and that is a ton of content that even I think the biggest sports fans can't consume all of it at once. So all of this to say is there has to be a way of creating these abbreviated personalized highlight reels of content that is going to resonate with you and is going to deliver an experience that you actually want to watch. So you saw our demo earlier, and what we want to do is focus on 3 new things in this incubator project, which is more of a heightened personalization experience, which is going to contain more of those overlays, different types of commentary. We'll get the inflection right with when it talks to you with your name in it, things like that. And then latency, of course. So, I'm sure you noticed some of the latency within that conversation, but also tightening that up so that personalized clip can come to you very quickly. And then the last thing is the user interface so that it is a really engaging experience when you're loading that platform. Yeah, did the right way. Okay. And so in order to do this, there are a couple areas that we really want to hit, which is looking at how do you cache queries in order to be ready to tackle that latency, and then really leverage edge compute. And so now, John Canning from AMD, you are on to talk about this.
Speaking of some edge compute, so looking at, we did training on a local system last year, but then also centralizing this on being able to do it on a laptop, fast return time, and also how we can scale that. So a couple of different aspects of experimentation, and again, looking at some of this foundation as things that I think other different groups, which is interesting about being an incubator, is other different groups can then take that and leverage that on from here. So also interested in doing that.
And so, who are we looking for? What are
Yes, that's right. Who are we looking for?
Yeah.
Sports content providers, people with rights. If you have rights to stuff, we would love you.
We would love that.
Because again, one of the biggest challenges here wasn't technology; it was rights and content access. So being able to experiment with a pool of content that we can then delve into, show, use. Last year, you had heard that we had the challenge that we had sports content. Then we realized some of those kids were underage. That gets it. You can see the conflict. So I think that's one of the areas. Again, that feeds into the historical sports data, so background data, so that you can feed a rich, train a rich data set. UI design and prompt scripting. So, I mean, just being able to somebody to look at this and say, what is this multimodal UI and how does that look? and how do you interface with it. So there you go.
Okay. And 4 seconds. All right. Why is this relevant besides all of the reasons that I talked to you about at the beginning, and what is this going to do for us as a media industry? Listen, we all know that media is everywhere. That media is coming for us everywhere. It's already around us. But as we go into this next iteration of media, media is going to be on wearables. It's going to be everywhere. And so we are going to have to be able to deliver personalized content in multiple formats in order to serve our audiences, in order to engage our fans, and in order to leverage the content that providers are actually creating and figuring out new ways to monetize that content and engage your audiences in a personalized way. Thank you very much.